Hi everybody, I am already back, you're not dreaming, already back with a new tournament report. So I played a one-day tournament with the teammate of my club, and this was for me the occasion to play again Infernal Dwarfs. You haven't seen Infernal Dwarfs, a physical model of Infernal Dwarfs on my channel, on Battle Report, since a couple of years. I would say like 2 or 3 years, I would say 3 years most likely. So it's definitely time for me to play again Infernal Dwarf. Why? Because I felt this year I've been playing enough Ogre Khan. I will not learn more things about the book in the 3 or 4 months that are remaining until the balance update, so I will be waiting for new points. And until then, this was for me the occasion to try to play Infernal Dwarf again, and also to paint models. For example, I painted recently this Bastion that is not finished yet, but yeah, I think it's looking good. It's in the right direction. So I have plenty of miniatures to paint until the big tournament that I will be attending, which will be the Interregio in France, which is I think the biggest tournament, 9th age tournament of the year again. More than 300 players in France, and a big painting score. So definitely a huge motivation for me to produce the best army that I can bring. Couple of information first about the tournament. Basically, it was 1 day, 3 games, 3 hours and a half, more or less per game. We played customized scenario based on Spoil of War, Old Ground Breakthrough, with some changes. For example, the Spoil of War, if you charge it, it had to flee. So if you catch it, you can basically get the spoil, and it was then causing frenzy check to your opponent. The Old Ground was like scored by the characters, not the unit with scorings. So small tweak, and I think the breakthrough is no big change. And we were 14 players. This is my army, so not finished yet. I'm mainly going to replace this model, this one, by another Kadim Titan, which is going to look, I think, better than this model. This is for me too small to my taste. And then I have the Vassal blocks that I paint recently, the Bastion I paint recently as well. I have some work to do on the characters, and also the Lugars to improve a bit, but it's going the right direction. So the list basically is heavily based on Lapamat, so from Team Poland, that he played Infernal Dwarfs at ETC with some success. Basically, I like a lot the list because it's heavily combat list. I mean, most of the list can fight, and it can also shoot, so it can provide some range damage if it needs to, and it can engage as well because it's very strong in combat. So I like a lot the concept of the list. I made some small tweaks. For example, I added 2 spells to the list. The first one was the Witchcraft Apprentice with Ranger Boots that he didn't have. He had only 4 spells, and I also put a Magical Heirloom on the Master, which I'm going to change in the next version of the list. I switch it for Binding Scroll, which I think is better. Then the Overlord, I put the Kingslayer instead of the shooty weapon. I prefer to have a full combat model that can provide the Onyx Core, which is always nice, but also the Kingslayer that made him a lot better against Death Star and mainly character as well. The Vizier, I think I put like the mask was not on the original build, and more or less that was it. The core didn't change much, so 23 Blunderbuss, then 2 units of bow levies, 2 units of slaves, then the block of Lugar with great weapon, and only the musician. Also something I'm going to change in the future, and to add a champion to get sometimes the boosted ward save and so on. Also, you don't like to cast too many spells on the Lugars that have MR2, also on the friendly spell, but sometimes you need to. Then the Bastion and the 2 shooty Titan. I think that's already it. So what can I say about the tournament? Yeah, it was finally the occasion for me to play something else, which was refreshing. I think it's also refreshing for you to see something a bit different on the channel. For those of you that are frustrated that I don't play so much combat over the past games, especially at ETC, that was a couple of KG games, standoff games. There will be more action during these tournaments, so that should be for you a reason to, yeah, to look forward to the battle reports, and myself as well, to analyze all of that. It was basically a good warm-up for me, looking forward then to the bigger tournament in October, but was the perfect training to get used to ID again, and also to try to win the tournament, because I've been not attending last year, but then the years before, and it's always a bit the challenge with the best player at the club. So definitely I wanted to show a good performance and to perform well with ID, to get used to the list and so on. Guys, that's all for this introduction, and the next one will be the first battle report, which will be a game against Sylvaneth. So looking forward to talk to you about this game. Thanks a lot for watching. Talk to you soon on the channel. Bye.